Well, hello, I'm Andrew Catchpole, editor of Harpers Wine and Spirit, and welcome to the latest of our In My Vineyard sessions. Today we're heading to Provence, where our guide will be Aurélie Bertin, the second generation to take up the reins at her family-owned estates, Châteaux Sainte Roseline and des Demoiselles. We're going there to get a taste of what these properties are about and how they perhaps differ from neighbouring rosé producing estates. So, hello, Aurélie, how are you?
Hello, Andrew. Thanks. Fine, thank you.
Very good to see you.
I'm happy to be with you.
Excellent. Thank you very much for joining us. So, as we'll hear in just a moment, in addition to being a keen proponent of wine tourism and being very committed to sustainability, Aurélie is also on the board of directors of the CIVP, the Provence's Interprofessional Wine Committee. In addition, she's president of Les Élonneres de Provence, an association of women business owners, which has a large number of wine growers and wine producers in it. And she's on the board of the Cercle de Femmes de Vin, an association bringing together all of France's associations of female wine growers. I'm going to invite Aurélie to share a little more about her background in her own words in a moment. But Aurélie, I thought a very good place to start would perhaps be with a brief description of the two estates that are in your family. Again, maybe a sort of brief history of how they came into how your family acquired those estates, and perhaps most crucially, what are the differences between those two estates?
Okay, we have two estates, Château des Demoiselles and Château Sainte Roseline. My grandparents used to have Château des Demoiselles, and I used to live there when I was young. And they sold the estate in 1978. And my father bought Château Sainte Roseline in 1994. He made a lot of money in real estate. And when he sold his business, he wanted to come back in the wine industry. So I was thinking, my father bought Château Sainte Roseline in 1994, and we bought back Château des Demoiselles in 2005. Actually, Château Sainte Roseline has 110 hectares of vine, and Château des Demoiselles only 72 hectares of vine. The both vineyards are organic agriculture. The Château Sainte Roseline is most well known for its historic heritage. Château Sainte Roseline is also a Cru Classé since 1955. Château des Demoiselles is also well known because it's based in the famous Vallée des Esclans. And there are many very famous vineyards around Château des Demoiselles. And we are producing wine in the three colors in both vineyards. I don't know what to say.
Mm-hmm. So I think we'll. Yeah.
Okay, no, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so I'd be interested to return into more to that diversity, and also the fact that you place equal emphasis on whites and reds alongside of the rosé. So we will definitely go into that in more depth. So, but sorry, I cut in. You were about to finish talking about the estates, I think.
No, just for my concern, I was first working in the marketing, in sports marketing, and my father wanted to launch wine tourism at Château Sainte Roseline. So he asked me to come to the estate to develop this part. So I arrived at Château Sainte Roseline in 2001 to develop first wine tourism. And at this time, I learned a lot about wine.
Excellent. Okay, so you then, so that was your first return to the family business. So that drew you back in. What was the appeal of why did you want to go into the wine world as opposed to the marketing world or something else out there in the wide world?
First, I was more in the marketing, and when I arrived at Château Sainte Roseline, I discovered the wine world. The complexity of the wine, it's always different. Each year is different. The technicity of the vineyard, of the vine, of all the work we can do in the cellar. So that's why I wanted after to work in the wine industry.
Excellent. Okay, and I mean, you also, I think this was a little later on. You obtained a winemaking qualification as well, from Suze-Larousse, I think. How did that make you look in any way differently to the approach that the family had been taking to winemaking and indeed viticulture on the estates?
Yes, I learned a lot during this certification at Suze-Larousse, which is a famous university wine university in France. And after this certification, I decided to engage the two estates in sustainable and after an organic agriculture. I also changed a little bit the way we are making the wine. My father used to age a lot of wine in oak, and so I reduced a lot the oak in the wine, and also the main things that I engaged the two estates in sustainability, which is very important for me.
Sustainability. Well, I'd like to come back to how important sustainability is to you and why in a moment. But one of the things that I suppose we could start with is the heritage, especially of Château Sainte Roseline. Why could you tell us a little bit about that heritage and why that is so important in terms of your modern messaging with regard to the chateau and the wines?
Château Sainte Roseline is very well known because first the estate is classified, and also the wine are classified. We have been making wine at Château Sainte Roseline since the 14th century. We have a 11th century cloister and chapel on the estate, and Sainte Roseline, who used to be the mother superior of the abbey in the 14th century, she gave her name to the estate. So we have a very strong history. Many people are coming on the estate every year to visit the chapel and the cloister, all the historical parts. So it's very strong heritage at the estate. And then we are classified since 1955. It's very important for me, this classification. It means at the end of the 1940s, 23 wine producers in Provence, such as Minuti, Domenot, they asked INAO, which is a French wine institute, a classification. So we got this classification in 1955. We are the only rosé classified in the world, and as I'd like to say, is the Cru Classé from Provence, or the founding father of Provence. These estates, they are the one who put Provence on the map, I think, worldwide. So Château Sainte Roseline is both an historic site and a Cru Classé. So I want to promote this, to welcome many visitors on the estate, to show them our beautiful estates, and to show them our knowledge of making very high quality wines.
So looking ahead, this is presumably for you a very important part of elevating the understanding of Provençal wines, rosés, and also beyond, in the sense that I think perhaps I can really speak mostly for the UK market. I think many people would look at Provence rosé as being, in a way, a little bit kind of homogenous. In a sense, they wouldn't necessarily understand the diversity and the differences of different appellations and so on. Is that also your sense? Do you think there's a lot of work to be done to help consumers and even the trade to understand the diversity of and you know the heritage of Provence?
First of all, regarding Provence wines, regarding rosé wines, I think Provence wines are the best rosé in the world, as I can say. And
sure.
Of course, we have what is interesting is we have many grape varieties in Provence, which can show the diversity of the rosé. And in Provence, you need to do a blending of few grapes. You are not allowed to have only one grapes. That's why all the Provence wines are so different. What is the same thing in Provence? The color is very pale. You have the rosé are very fresh, and you have very lot of aromas. But it's true that we have a huge diversity, and I think it's important to have this diversity.
Excellent. Well, I think we're going to see that, and I believe we'll taste a couple of your wines just in just a little while. But just ahead of that, could you tell us a little more about the vineyards and the viticulture? You talked earlier about how your philosophy would be informed by your studying of enology and so on, and obviously a new generation coming to the second generation estate. What's in your vineyards? How are they sited? And viticulturally, what could you tell us about them?
What I can say is we are environmentally friendly. We keep grassy areas between the row. That's very important to preserve the fauna and the flora, to avoid any erosion, and also to increase the organic matter. When you are in organic agriculture, you need to increase the organic matter. That's very important thing. So we try to do this by keeping grassy areas between the rows.
Yeah.
We also use a natural fertilizer to enrich the soil. We are doing the harvest basically by most of them by night to preserve the freshness and the aromas and to avoid any oxidation. What can we say? We have a density of plantation of 5,000 plants per hectare, which is more than the average in Provence. Generally is more 4,000 plants per hectare. And also we try to reduce the yield to less than 50 hectoliters by hectare.
We can just see one of your vineyards there, actually. Which one is this?
I don't know exactly, but it's which picture? It might be very young vine, as we can see.
It is, isn't it? Exactly. Actually, that's a very good point.
That's Grenache. That's Grenache.
That's Grenache, and obviously
very old vine.
Very healthy looking vineyard. Fantastic. That's great.
And what is important also, due to the climate, the global warming, we try to adapt our growing process. One thing, it's it's getting warmer and warmer during winter time. So we delay the pruning of the vine. Before we used to start in December, now we are starting mid-January, because every year we get very strong frost during March or April. Okay. And we had this very hard frost 2 years ago. So to avoid and because if it's very warm, the vine is getting to grow very fast. So the frost can very damage the vine. So that's a point that we are trying to change. And another thing which is very important, we try to use new grapes, varieties to find more resistant grapes. So we plant some. We have planted some Caladoc. Which is a grapes, kind of a Grenache, which is more resistant. For me, it's very important to when we are planting vines now, we need to keep them for 30 to 40 years. So we need to choose the right grapes, which will be able to be in good shape in 30 to 40 years. And we are suffering from drought in the south of France. So we need to adapt our wine growing process.
So there's adaptation going on in the vineyards, certainly viticulturally, in terms of what you're planting looking ahead. Would there be similar adaptation in the cellar? How does sustainability actually inform the winemaking, or is that just the natural result of what's going on, the fruit that the vines are delivering?
Regarding sustainability in the cellar, it's different because we try to reduce more our energy consumption. We try to reduce our water consumptions, and that's more important. So it's not really it's more environment in general that we do in the cellar, but it's true that we are doing the harvest very early in the morning or even during the night, because it can get very, very hot during the day to keep the freshness of the rosé wine. We need to do the harvest by night. And what is also very important in the cellar is we control the temperature all along the process, also to avoid all this kind of stuff, and also to control oxygen, to avoid any oxidation. So we use an inert press machine. We use an inert bottling light. We inert the tanks before the fermentation. So the temperature and the oxygen is the two things very important to control in the cellar.
So all the time, being very careful to keep that sort of freshness, fruit primacy, keep oxidation at bay, basically keep excess heat at bay. Excellent. Okay. Now, very, very interesting, because I think perhaps I'm wondering if some people tuned in and listening will be thinking Provence and rosé, but I understand, Aurélie, that you are very passionate about spreading the message that Provence, of course, isn't just rosé and has never just been rosé, and whites and reds you put an equal passion to, and you promote equally. So do you want to talk a little bit about why that's important to you, that you're so strongly committed to giving equal emphasis to reds and whites? And actually, while we're here, I may just pour a sample, because very kindly you sent me one of your whites and one of your reds. I don't know if you happen to hand, but yeah, why do you place so much emphasis on reds and whites when the world is very thirsty and happy to pay for rosé?
First, because I really like red wines and white wines, so it's very important for me to produce red and white, and then we have a very good terroir at Château Sainte Roseline. In Provence, we are allowed to produce grapes that can produce very high quality red and white, such as Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, and Rolle for the white. And I think we can produce very high quality wines, which can compete with other very famous appellations all over the world. And for example, with our bottle of red La Chapelle, we got 97% at decanter competition. And we are selling, and the red and the white are very huge sales for us down at the estate. So the terroir is good. I love wine. I love red and white, and we have a demand for the red and the white.
It's interesting, because I was looking at some figures, and rather foolishly, I haven't got them in front of me just now, but from the CIBP, and I think it's somewhere in the region of 94% of production is Provence rosé. Does that sound about right in the region as a whole? And then there are small quantities of red and white. But on your estate, what's the percentage between red, white, and rosé?
On Château Sainte Roseline, we are producing 70% of rosé, 20 of red, and 10 of white. And Château des Demoiselles, we are producing more rosé, 80% of rosé, 15 of red, and 5 of white. Okay. But we are planting more roll to develop the whites, because the demand is increasing for the white.
Well, I think also, I mean, roll can be a fantastic variety, can't it? And it's become, under the guise of another name, quite fashionable, I think, at the moment, in the right sort of restaurants and independent merchants. So, so I have in front of me. So you've chosen to send me 2 wines. Maybe we should talk a little bit about them, and I'll give you a little time. There we go. So this one for the viewers is first up, and it's a very fresh, poised slightly textural kind of white with a little bit of mineral character going on, quite nice length, good acidity. But Aurélie, do you want to tell me a little bit about this? And
first, I'd like to talk about the bottle, if I have
which is
the time.
absolutely fascinating shape. I know. That was that's amazing.
It's our iconic bottle. It was created by the wife of the previous owner in 1950. So this bottle was more than 70 years old. It's our own bottle. If you see this bottle, is Château Sainte Roseline bottle. The name is Lampe de Méduse. And this, the shape is like a bottle of Alsace on the top, and a bottle of perfume in the bottle. So this is the flagship of our estates. So you have mostly roll in this bottle, 80%, 85% of roll and 15% of semillon. It's very the fermentation is done in stainless steel tank. We do cold stabilization to develop the aromas on the roll, and we do the vinification grapes by grapes, plot by plot, and we do after the blending. So it's true you have very good acidity. What is important to know and to tell about Château Sainte Roseline, we are not far from the sea, so we get some influences coming from the sea, and we have a underground spring to which feed the grape all year. So in this one you have the nose is very intense with flower notes and a little bit of citrus, very good acidity, and on the palate also you get it's elegant and it's very thin and elegant and very nice on the palate, and also at the end you have a very long final. This one is interesting because you can drink in as just wine by the glass, because it's very fresh and you have aromas, and also with food you can pair with all kind of food, creamy risotto, fish, all kind of also mushrooms like pasta with mushrooms, or all kind of white meat also with mushrooms can be very good pairing. So it's a very nice white wine. It's our flagship. And
yes, it's superb, and it's actually making me quite hungry because it's getting my gastric juices working. So, but they're in that pairing. You said roll and semillon, I think.
Yeah, roll and semillon.
Yes. So the roll, one presumes, is bringing that sort of floral citrus zinginess to it, which gives it so much energy and life. And then the semillon sits there, and it'd be interesting to see how that ages as well, because there's some quite nice texture, especially towards the mid palate and the finish coming through. Perhaps the semillon's kind of broadening that out a little bit. But do these wines also age, or would you recommend to drink this primarily quite young? I've got a 2021 vintage here, and it seems perfect to me. But
yeah, it's perfect. You can keep this wine for 2 to 4 years, but it's nice to drink in when it's young. On the first 3 years, I think it's a good things.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. That's superb, and the bottle shape is a real, just absolutely fantastic. That's quite different. So a nice feel to it as well. So should we move to the red, the Château Sainte Roseline, of which I have a 2014 sample actually, and you've done the intelligent thing and actually decanted. Straight from the bottle, I'm afraid. But
so the Chapelle is our exceptional cuvée. This one is made also in a very good vintage. It's we choose the best plots of our estates, and it's a blend of 2 grapes, Syrah, 75% of Syrah, and 25% of Cabernet Sauvignon. We do the vinification is done in big oak vats, And the aging is done in a oak barrel, new oak barrel during 1 year. So it's a very powerful wine, very intense. You have a red fruit on the nose. You also have, which is very typical from Syrah, is violet. You know,
Yes.
the flowers. It's a very round wine, very powerful wine. It's a gastronomical wine. It's better to, I think, to eat with this wine. It's a 2014 vintage, but you can age. You can keep it for a little bit longer, I think, up to 5 years, I think. It's very good with. It's even the final. It's a little bit of violet and a bit spicy at the end, which is very characteristic from the Syrah. It's a good pairing with all kind of meat, even a little bit strong meat like a duck or beef. I really like to drink this one also with chocolate at the end, chocolate cake, for example, or chocolate mousse. It's always difficult to choose a wine for a dessert, but I really like the regular wine with chocolate dessert.
It's interesting you say, but it's a big wine. It has incredible intensity and it has a real depth of fruit and it has a lovely look of spice, and I get a little bit of savory character coming through. But it's very, very well balanced, the wine. And also, I think you said 25% Cabernet Sauvignon. I think you can sort of detect a little bit of kind of structure and lift from that Cabernet as well. So it's just sort of helping give the Syrah a little more kind of shape and structure. But it's to describe to you, I'm afraid we couldn't get bottles to you that tuned in out there, but it's beautifully mellow around it. The tannins are really well integrated, and it's lovely, and it's very, very long as well. It's got good length. So I can see it with, as you say, like quite rich meats, fatty meats like duck, and I'll be trying it with chocolate this evening, as I've got some very nice dark chocolates here from a chocolate tasting. So I look forward to that. But that's very good.
It's an exceptional wine, and we are producing in very small quantities, but not every year. Yes,
excellent. So we will get on to, and I know it's your absolute passion is talking about tourism and lifestyle experiences around the state. But just before that, if I could ask you, in your capacity as a board member of the CIVP, Aurelie, how do you believe Provence should best develop into the future? And by that, I'm really meaning both looking at the rosés, but then perhaps maybe putting more emphasis on the other styles of wines to come out to help kind of raise that sort of premium image. I mean, the rosés, as you say, you said they're the best in the world, and I think consistently we get some very, very good and great rosés out of Provence, and that's why so many regions around the world obviously have been trying to copy the styles of Provence rosé to more or less success, But so I had two questions there. One is about the future for the rosé and perhaps more distinction and premiumization, and then more broadly, how important is it to raise the profile of the whites and reds, as you yourself are trying to are doing?
First, we should develop the premium rosé to focus on premium wines, because we have the knowledge to produce very high quality rosé in Provence. So we need to emphasize these premium wines, and after you can. What we do at Château Sainte Roseline, you can do the same. We have normal rosé wine, and you have more gastronomical rosé wine. As La Chapelle, we have the same in rosé, and we do the vinification in oak. So it's very different. So it gives diversity. I mean, you can have premium rosé wine, but with diversity, because you have terroir are different depending of your near the sea or more like us, not far from the sea. So that's but we also need to what I was saying, to develop also, of course, a little bit of red and white, but the volume was so small, so it represents a very small percentage of the production in Provence. But as we can see on the figures, the white are very going up. So we need to think about the white in Provence, because it's a new challenge I think for all of us, and we are not producing enough white in Provence. And after, what is important, it's to develop, and I'm engaged in these things, to develop wine tourism in Provence.
Yes, let's talk more about wine tourism in Provence, because that's all the way. Yes, one of your passions.
Because Provence way of life is very famous all over the world, and we need to develop this Provence lifestyle experience, and to host people coming from all over the world, to show them the know-how, and of course they need to live a real experience when they are in Provence, to see our fascinating history. Not even at Château Sainte Roseline, but you have beautiful estates everywhere in Provence, beautiful houses. So it's very important to show that to all our customers. And also, it's, I think, very important for them to live a real experience. That's Provence lifestyle experience is so important.
And is that on a serious question? I mean, how accessible are individual estates? Has it changed much in terms of? I mean, I first went to Provence and fell in love with Provence. It must be, I'll show my age now. It must be 35 years ago. Wow. In an old de Chevaux, I drove down in a de Chevaux from the UK on a wine tour. And I remember arriving in Provence and just being absolutely amazed by the beauty of the place and the charm. And I think so many, certainly British people and other visitors from Northern Europe and the rest of the world experience that. But one of the things over time is you haven't necessarily been able to visit that many cellars and cellar doors. There haven't necessarily been all the facilities. So has that changed significantly over the years?
Yeah, a lot. I think all the estates are now open to visitors, so you can visit basically all the estates. Many new owners arrived in Provence. They invest a lot in wine tourism, so you can find hotels, restaurants in many estates right now. So there is a huge development in wine tourism in Provence, and you can have art. We do art exhibition in Château Sainte Roseline, but you have also other winery where you can find art exhibition all year. You have restaurants, you have all kind of events organized there on all the estates. So it's becoming a real wine tourism destination.
So a real part of the sort of ongoing success story. And of course, I mean, maybe you could elaborate on your thoughts on this a little bit more, but the more people you have coming for wine tourism, then the easier it is to explain, isn't it? When you actually have people in situ, you can literally show them the vineyards, show them the topography, so they can understand the terroir, they can understand the climate that's behind the wines, and obviously the people behind the wines. So in a way, it's rather like being a wine journalist and going on a trip and experience in a region, and it really then places it in your mind for you know, it's so helpful. So I guess that's one of the keys. So are there any plans you have looking to the future in terms of more developments at either of the chateaus, or increasing wine tourism, or bringing new wines on, or are you now just looking to perfect what you have already developed?
No, we just turn organic in the vine, so we need to work on it, because it's a huge change for us, and so we need to work a lot on the vine to increase the organic matter. I think the vineyard is, for me, the focus on the following years. And of course, wine tourism, because for me it's very important to host people at the two estates, because as you said before, it's very important to explain how to let them test the wines, and they spend time on the estate, so they remember us when they are in the restaurant. And we are welcoming more than 30,000 people on the estate every year, and selling more than 100,000 bottles on the estate. So for us, we are the pioneers of wine tourism in Provence.
Yeah.
Because we started a long time ago. So the next step in wine tourism is maybe to create a restaurant, which is not very easy, but it's an objective for the following year, and to keep increasing the quality of the wines, because for me it's very important. And to produce, as you know, to produce high quality wines, we need to have very good grapes. So that's why the vineyard is, for me, it's very important.
So it's all a virtuous circle, isn't it? Tying all these things up together, and very, very exciting. I know it is very, very difficult actually. Creating a restaurant is not an easy thing to do. It's a major task, but I hope that goes well. So that would be fantastic. Now, this complete change, actually, I mentioned at the beginning, and because I mentioned it in my introduction, I feel we should touch on it. My question is, how important are the organisations that you help drive that bring female wine growers, winemakers together? What are the sort of tangible benefits from that?
You are talking about the Éléonore de Provence,
Indeed.
the association.
Yes.
Yeah, we have in Provence, we have the Éléonore de Provence, and you have in each appellation in France, you have a women association, and in total in France, after you have an association which for all these associations. For me, it's really important to this association, this women association, because we share a lot of things together. You know, as when you are the boss of a company, the CEO, you are often alone. So you need to share your experience, your best practice. So it's a very important way to share with other women. And we try to be more involved in all the wine institutions. Before it used to be very male environment, I would say. Yes. And I'd like to introduce more women in these associations. For example, the Council of Provence. I think I am the first woman to be part of the board.
Okay.
So we try to push to have around the table more women in all the wine institution, which is quite important. And also for this association, we talk a lot about our process, growing process, vinification process, and we can share all our experiences. So it's very important for me.
So it's both, yeah, it's great for that sharing and networking, but also sending out a message of greater inclusivity and diversity, I suppose, in Provence, in the winemaking fraternity, which can only be a good thing. Well, Aurelie, it's been fantastic. We've covered a lot of ground. I don't know if there are any other points that you wanted to share with our audience, but I think
I just would like to share, just talk about sustainability.
Yes, a little bit more. Okay.
Because for me, it's very important, because I am convinced if we want to be able to produce and to sell wine in 30 years in Provence, we need to be aware of environmental impact, social impact, economic performance. And I am really convinced that in the future, the consumer will want to know the origin of the wine, how the wine is made, if the winery is taking care of their employees. That's, for me, it's a very important. So we change a lot of things at the estate, We are developing the well-being in the workplace, taking care of our employees, reinforcing the staff training, organizing focus group to involve all the employees in the strategic points. So for me, it's very important to develop environment, social and economic all together. I think for the future of the company, it's a very important.
So for the future of the company, but also future of Provence as well. I mean, given what you were saying earlier, because we touched on, you know, the effects of climate change and global warming and some of the adaptation techniques and indeed perhaps mitigation techniques that you're putting in place. So both as an individual chateau owner, chateaus obviously, and winemaker, but the broader swathe, the Provence way. And I think incredibly important, and to understand as well, as you say, that you're looking at environmental and social, and all that has to be backed by economic sustainability so that the whole can work. So so yeah, no, that's very, very good to hear. So and it's a long journey. Yes, it takes time to develop all of this, I think. Yeah. So excellent. Well, as I say, any other points, but I'm glad we touched on sustainability again. But otherwise, Aurélie, that's been really fantastic. It's been great chatting with you, discovering more about the estates, more about Provence, tasting both of these fantastic examples of non-rosé Provence wines, which is a treat and a reminder as well. I think a reminder of the diversity of Provence and of what you're doing. So so it's been a real pleasure. So thank you for taking part in our in my Vineyard series.
Thank you, Andrew. It was nice to meet you and to talk about the two estates. I really enjoyed this moment.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. That's great, and I'm sure we'll speak soon.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay. Au revoir. Thank you.
Au revoir. Merci.
Merci.